Namo Buddhaya, salam kebajikan. Selamat siang Bapak Ibu semuanya. Selamat siang Bapak Ibu yang menyaksikan BreaK Bicara tentang kualitatif yang berada di Saijaya Hotel maupun berada di online di HPM FK UGM ataupun di Zoom meeting yang sudah selalu kami sediakan. BreaK kembali hadir untuk Anda bicara tentang kualitatif. Sudah 2 tahun selalu menemani kita setiap hari Jumat Bapak Ibu semuanya untuk kita bersama mendalami penelitian kualitatif tentunya dengan menghadirkan pakar-pakar yang kompeten di bidangnya. Dan BreaK selalu menemani Bapak Ibu semuanya siang hari ya, kita mengisi di siang hari dan hari ini Jumat 1 September 2023 BreaK kembali hadir di awal bulan. Semoga awal bulan ini menjadikan semangat baru untuk kita semua Bapak Ibu untuk memupuk harapan yang baru, semoga di bulan ini lebih baik daripada bulan-bulan kemarin. Dan perkenankan Ibu, saya Galuh yang nanti akan memandu BreaK acara di siang hari ini sampai dengan selesai nanti. Dan kabar baik di tanggal 1 September ini BreaK berkolaborasi dengan Inatime, the 5th Indonesia Tuberculosis International Research Meeting 2023 yang diselenggarakan oleh Tropical Medicine, Pusat Kedokteran Tropis FKKM UGM, dan sudah saat ini juga kami senang sekali bekerja sama dan kami akan menemani sobat BreaK semuanya selama kurang lebih 2 jam ke depan. Kita akan langsung terhubung dengan teman-teman rekan-rekan Inatime di sana dan kita akan menyaksikan speaker tentunya dengan paper-paper yang berkualitas, yang bagus, tentunya yang akan membahas terkait dengan penelitian tuberkulosis. Dan sudah hadir bersama dengan kita yang tentu sudah hadir di sana, ada Profesor Dr. Utarini, M.Sc, Ph.D, bersama juga dengan Ibu Martina Sinta Kristanti, S.Kep, NS.MN, Ph.D, yang akan menemani kita dan sekarang juga menggambarkan suasana di sana seperti apa. Kita sapa dulu Bapak Ibu, selamat siang Bu Sinta.
Selamat siang Mbak Galuh.
Baik, Bu Sinta, mendengar suara kami di sini?
Sangat jelas suaranya, walaupun outputnya hanya dari tempat yang kecil, tapi lumayan kita bisa mendengar dengan baik ya Prof. Sini Prof.
Terima kasih Bu Sinta dan juga Prof Uut di sana sudah keceriaannya sudah menular ke kami.
Halo Pak Galuh dan semuanya yang nonton di online maupun yang berada di ruangan.
Baik, terima kasih Prof. Dan mungkin Bu Sinta boleh dikabarkan seperti apa suasana di Saijaya Hotel di sana kepada teman-teman BreaK yang join secara online di siang hari ini. Silakan Bu Sinta.
Terima kasih Mbak Galuh, hari ini seru banget nih bersama dengan teman-teman Jet dan yang lain-lainnya. Kita ada di ruang 1D dan siap untuk mendengarkan presentasi mengenai TB. Kayaknya wajah-wajah teman Jet agak bingung nih, sopo online ada online offline, nanti akan kita jelaskan setelah ini Mbak Galuh.
Oke, baik. Terima kasih Bu Sinta dan Bapak Ibu, Sobat BreaK yang berada di online maupun offline. Kita nikmati BreaK edisi khusus di siang hari ini kepada Ibu Sinta dan juga Prof Uut. Kami silakan.
Terima kasih Mbak Galuh. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Very good afternoon everybody. Just like the committee mentioned to us that we need to conduct this session in English, so we continue this presentation in English as well. So first of all, we would like to extend our honor and gratitude to the committee that's already inviting BreaK. BreaK is Bicara tentang kualitatif. That's a webinar that we conducted since 2021. And we started during COVID pandemic, yes, and it's been going on until now. So we have a weekly meeting for the first year, and then the second year we had fortnightly, so every 2 weeks. And we are now already in the 60 sessions.
60 sessions.
60 sessions. And during our session is only an hour, and it's a talk show, so you can get some more ideas and update in regard to research methodology, especially in qualitative study. So before we started, I think it's better for us to introduce ourselves. Maybe Prof. Utarini can start.
Yeah. My name is Adi Utarini. Usually my friends call me Uut. I'm very happy to be here in the Inatime conference meetings. And I'm also very happy to be given an opportunity, a special session where we can discuss a little bit more about different studies, but I think nearly all, or if not all, are talking about qualitative study. Every day, I'm a lecturer at the Department of Health Policy Management at the Faculty of Medicine. And well, I'm also active in research on communicable disease. And my last piece of research was on dengue, using the Bapak technology. Thank you. Yes. And me myself, my name is Sinta Kristanti. I am the nursing lecturer from Gajah University, and both of us are the founder here. Bicara tentang kualitatif. So we call it special because only this room that have the qualitative methodology for presentation. I think one have the quantitative design, but that's no problem. We also call it special because you have the opportunity to have the hybrid session as well. So together with us now in the Zoom meeting, we have several sobat nge-break, that's what we call the audience of BreaK, and BreaK friends. And they can also asking questions through the presentation session. So if you have some more questions, then you can also reach out through the chat box. And last but not least, why we call it special, because you will also have the chance, if the time is allowed, the chance to discuss in about qualitative methodology at the end of the presentation. Together with us, we have Professor Utarini that has conducted lots of qualitative studies. So without further ado, to give you more excitement about BreaK, we would like to show you our latest program in BreaK, because we also have our new collaboration, BreaK in Kelas Kanal. We would like to present the video. Maybe Mas Fahid from Raisa Radio would like to.
Gambar apakah ini? Kelambu nampaknya. Wah, kenapa kelambu? Apakah ada cerita di balik kelambu ini?
Ya, ini kelambu nostalgia ini. Ini mengingatkan saya ke penelitian malaria beberapa tahun yang lalu di sebuah daerah endemis malaria di Provinsi Jawa Tengah. Nah, saat itu tuh saya sedang mewawancara seorang ibu. Dan saya datang ke rumahnya. Ini rumahnya rumah Jawa itu, joglo itu ya. Sehingga begitu saya masuk, saya bisa melihat ada 2 kamar tidur. Yang satu itu ada kelambunya, tapi yang satunya nggak ada.
Kenapa nggak dua-duanya, Prof?
Nah itu kan, sebagai peneliti kan kita penasaran ya. Dan pada kondisi seperti itu tentu kita ingin memahami lebih banyak tentang konteks itu, tentang cerita apa nih yang bisa dihadirkan di balik kelambu yang hanya terpasang di salah satu kamar. Dan eksplorasi yang cocok adalah dengan menggunakan penelitian kualitatif.
Halo Sobat BreaK, selamat datang di acara BreaK, Bicara tentang Kualitatif.
Halo Sobat Kanal, selamat datang di BreaK in Kelas Kanal. BreaK, bicara tentang riset kualitatif, adalah program webinar reguler yang kami selenggarakan sejak tahun 2021. Platform ini kami hadirkan untuk mewadahi minat para penggiat dan peneliti dalam update informasi dan metodologi dalam penelitian kualitatif. Semua kegiatan BreaK dapat Anda simak dalam link berikut ini. Nah, apa beda antara BreaK dengan break-in kelas kanal?
Dalam BreaK, kami menghadirkan berbagai topik kualitatif dalam rentang waktu yang lebih panjang, yaitu 1 jam, sifatnya obrolan. Serta dalam BreaK, kita memfasilitasi sobat BreaK untuk bisa melaksanakan diskusi secara langsung dengan narasumber. Sedangkan dalam break-in kelas kanal, kami menghadirkan video yang lebih ringkas, yaitu dengan durasi 5-6 menit. Oleh karena itu, akan banyak keywords yang kami sampaikan dengan harapan sobat break-in kelas kanal juga dapat secara proaktif belajar secara mandiri dari link dan keywords setelah menonton video dalam break-in kelas kanal.
Lalu bagaimana bila sobat break-in kelas kanal memiliki pertanyaan?
Pertanyaan dapat tetap dijawab. Untuk memfasilitasi sesi diskusi, sobat break-in kelas kanal dapat menggunakan kolom komentar. Selain itu, setiap bulan kami akan menyusun sesi khusus untuk menjawab pertanyaan pada kolom tersebut.
Selanjutnya, siapakah yang perlu dan bisa mengambil manfaat dari berbagai video break-in kelas kanal?
Semua orang berhak belajar dan bisa mengambil manfaat. Banyak pihak dapat menimba manfaat dari video dalam break-in kelas kanal. Mahasiswa, khususnya mahasiswa kesehatan, tidak terbatas di lingkungan UGM, lalu praktisi, klinisi, dan tentunya para dosen dan peneliti yang melakukan riset.
Namun, kalau hanya video pendek 5 menit, kira-kira bagaimana cara optimalisasi penggunaan video-video ini, Prof?
Betul sekali. Memang perlu pendekatan berbeda untuk mendapatkan lebih banyak manfaat dari video pendek dalam break-in kelas kanal. Contohnya, dalam video break-in kelas kanal, kami akan memberikan berbagai keywords yang bagi sobat break-in kelas kanal dapat kemudian ditelusuri lebih lanjut dari berbagai literatur, serta kami akan memberikan panduan link sehingga sobat break dapat merujuk pada video break yang durasinya lebih panjang untuk mendapatkan informasi yang lebih detail mengenai topik tersebut. Contoh yang lain, para dosen juga dapat menggunakan video ini sebagai trigger dalam diskusi atau kegiatan belajar mengajar. Oleh karena itu, video 5 menit ini akan memberikan banyak manfaat. Nah, pada tahun 2023 ini, kita akan belajar bersama tentang tipe-tipe pertanyaan yang akan dijawab dengan penelitian kualitatif dan berbagai tradisi dalam penelitian kualitatif.
Salam break-in kelas kanal. Bicara tentang riset kualitatif.
So starting from ID2 until ID8, you will have 7 minutes of presentation and then 3 minutes of question and answer session, including the one from the Zoom. So without a further ado, we would like to invite the first research. The title is Implementation Analysis of Latent Tuberculosis Infection Management Program at Community Health Centers in Bandung. So the time is yours. Thank you very much. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, audience and members of Bicara tentang Kualitatif. My name is Sinta. I'm representing the Faculty of Medicine from Universitas Bicara. I'm honored today to stand before you to share the findings of our research focused on the implementation analysis of latent tuberculosis infection control program in primary healthcare or Puskesmas in Bandung. To start, I would like to draw your attention to a modeling study done by Dai and colleagues, which concluded that the most effective approach to TB elimination is the integration of both TPT and alongside with active TB treatment. And in UNHLM on TB for 2022, it is clear that PPT has emerged as one of the key strategy in the collective pursuit of TB elimination. Next. But unfortunately, in Indonesia, in 2022, the national 9 years after PPT was introduced in Indonesia, the national coverage of PPT was only in a mere 5%. And if you see it further, in the West Java, the coverage is even lower at only 2.2%, far below the national target. National target differs for each risk group, but it is ranging 40 to 60% coverage of PPT. And it is also important to acknowledge that the success of any healthcare program relies on the perspective and the action of the healthcare providers. They play a pivotal role in determining the degree of the success in any program implementation. And right now, we don't have the instrument to measure it, and to evaluate their contribution in LTBI control program. And so, this study aims to explore and to measure the success of the implementation of LTBI control program from the perspective of service providers in Puskesmas in Kota Bandung. In light of the problems outlined earlier, a sequential exploratory method was needed. In the initial qualitative phase, we use implementation outcome by proctor and tutors as the predetermined theme. It consists of 8 dimensions. They are acceptability, adoption, appropriateness, feasibility, cost, fidelity, coverage, and sustainability. We did in-depth interviews with TB officers and Puskesmas managers. This analysis method allows us not only to collect representative polls, but also to build a substantive theory. And the item on the periphery, they determine the 8 dimensions of implementation outcome. So we developed a questionnaire based on this theory. Moving on to the quantitative study, first we did a pilot study, the questionnaire tryout, to measure the questionnaire validity and reliability. We made item modification accordingly if needed. We then distributed the final questionnaires to Puskesmas managers and officers in Kota Bandung. During the analysis procedures, we use RAS model to transform ordinal values to numeric values. The result indicated that 30% of the respondents feel that the program implementation has been unsuccessful, 30%. And while 40% perceive it as somehow successful, which means that over half of the respondents believe that the LTBI control program has not been carried on successfully. As seen on this standard chart, the highest success lies in the appropriateness dimension, and the lowest is in the adoption dimension. And measurement across all 8 dimensions of implementation outcome, they appear very low. And it is evident that the respondents saw the LTBI as an appropriate solution to their TB problem in their region. Appropriateness is one of the highest success. And then they accept the top one, acceptability, they accept the program. And even better, they are optimistic about the sustainability of the program, the sustainability one. So in summary, it can be concluded that the morale or the mindset of the providers, they are generally positive, and they are the providers are ready to carry out this program. And improvement efforts should be focused on the more technical aspects such as feasibility of the procedures, or the manuals or the test X-ray, and ensuring the availability of logistics. Next. In conclusion, it is evident that the LTBI control program in Bandung has not been implemented properly. And this indicates a lack of commitment from the central government to provide sustainable logistics. A comprehensive and concerted effort is needed. It is urgently required to improve the implementation success. And we all must work collectively towards ensuring that the LTBI control program achieves its intended goals. And this program contributes to the overall well-being of our community. Next. Ladies and gentlemen, these are the findings of our research. Me and my team sincerely appreciate your attention. Thank you very much for your time. Yeah, let's from side, and we still have a minute exactly. So we would like to invite questions from the audience on this room. If not, then Prof. Utarini will ask questions. Is there anyone who would like to provide feedback? Definitely be questions. Anyone? Yeah. Yeah, thank you. Because implementation outcomes are, there are a lot of outcomes and you attempt to measure all of it, so it's a little complicated. What was your strategy to get a picture of all of it, all the outcomes? At first, we start from the theory of the implementation outcome itself, built by Proctor and Peters back in 2010 and 2013. We developed a very concise operational definition of it. We developed that first, and then we after that we did the interviews, and we make sure that the result from the interviews match with the theme provided before. So we use predetermined implementation outcome. But I think to make sure that how it matches the theme, we work with, this is the wonderful team I had, and then we work together we did a lot of meetings to make sure that each code, we did coding and categorizing, etc. We make sure the code goes to the right category and the category goes to the right theme. So there has to be a lot of teamwork, a lot of discussion with experts and stakeholders. I think that was it.
Thank you very much. So it's a bit ambitious, but you have a great tip. That's the conclusion. One more question from the audience. Anyone? Any more feedback? Sesi? No?
Yeah, I'm interested with your finding from this study. It's very interesting. And because you create this spider chart for each of the variables, it is also an interesting finding, and how you display the result is quite uncommon to display it like that, so it's a plus point. But just wondering if in the discussion or in your analysis, if you try to see the relationship between each of the variable, like how adoption and fidelity affect the achievement or the score for the other variables. We did not directly measure the relationship of each. We did not actually did a multivariate analysis, so we did only univariate, but we displayed it as if it was like connected to each other, but there is no multivariate analysis to it. What I tried to show from the spider chart was that all dimension appears low. So there is no one dimension that is 100% or 90%, but the other is low, but they are all very low. That's why I pulled the conclusion that a commitment from stakeholders was lacking, because all the dimension is low.
Right. So, yeah. Thank you very much for one more remark. Oh, okay.
Yeah, congratulations for the study, very nice study. Just some points you mentioned in the beginning that it's only 5%, right? Was it the TPT coverage or TPT is 5%, and even 2% in Bandung, right? So it's really low, and that means what you express in the qualitative study is confirming. But I just feel like if it's so low, 5%, 2%, we're not talking about fidelity or we're not talking about sustainability. I think we're talking about whether it's acceptability, that's the first step, or even there is a serious input problem, so that it's a very low coverage. And then one point in the result, when we do mixed method research, we need to make sure also in the result we have both the qualitative and the quantitative study. So congratulations. Thank you.
Yeah, you would like to confirm or just give applause. Thank you so much. That will be a report of the presenter. So we would like to invite the second presenter. The title of the research is a summative evaluation of one cek PDT digital campaign for youth in West Java and Jakarta. Thank you.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Thea. I work in an NGO for Stop Team Partnership Indonesia. So my presentation will be not so theoretical compared to the others, but I hope it will be useful for us to exchange our knowledge. So let's go. Yeah. So do you remember back when the pandemic happened, we knew that the notification plummeted. There was over 20% increase in TV notification. And how did you feel? I felt outrageous because look at the graph. It's from a CTP dashboard. Like it went up. There was improvement, and then it went down. So we, as the programmers, the implementers, we felt like, this is such a bad timing because we were improving. But what can we do better this time? During the pandemic, we know that there was a new disease, and it's quite similar to TB, COVID-19. And also, unfortunately, there was restrictions in mobility. Right? So we decided to create a campaign. It's called 14 Satu Cek TBC campaign. The message is 14 hari baru ada satu solusi cek dokter segera. And this message was developed with a series of focus group discussions, concept study, etc. And I'm just describing this campaign. It was implemented in a digital format for 6 months in social media, in news, but in their digital output. And we focused on the 2 high burden provinces, West Java and DKI Jakarta, focusing on the 15 until 39 years old group because they're the biggest group, the demographic group in Indonesia and also in these 2 provinces. We wanted to raise better awareness of TB. And since we cannot move around, like usually we educate TB through contact investigation or face-to-face visit in facilities. That's what we wanted to do, a digital format during the pandemic. And we developed a lot of output, like website, articles, advertisements, social media content. There's hundreds of them. But next, I'm going to talk about the evaluation of this campaign. We know next that from our report, the baseline and endline report, that there's an increase of 28% in the knowledge of the respondents from the campaign. And we collaborated with the Kompas with a pre and post design with the respondents who are assigned to follow the campaign. But I want to talk about so how is this successful? If it's increased by 28%, so the message is actually effective to improve knowledge, then how? How did it happen? Next. So we wanted to do a qualitative study to follow up, and this qualitative study is actually without any donor support, but the campaign is very much supported. So we did a follow-up based on that report to learn from the people who received the message. So we use an approach, it's called individualized outcomes evaluation and utilization focused evaluation for programs. It's based on patrons and textbooks which are in school. So we had a proposal sampling just to get an idea from male and female in DKI Jakarta, those who survived TB, those who haven't had TB, and talk with them. So we advertise in our social media because we want to learn from them. We advertise in our social media, and there's a small reward for those who became our respondents. And 59 people registered, but we only selected 7. The purposive sampling target is actually 8, but one type of person, which is a male survivor from DKI Jakarta, we didn't find anyone who fulfilled that criteria. So I think like within the 2 months, we continued the interviews through phone in-depth interview. Next. And we found, sorry, the text becomes so small now, but we found that the campaign actually, so we talked with people who followed our social media before the campaign and during the campaign implementation. And we talked about how the media is utilized by them to find health information and the experience in following the Scottish Partnership Indonesia social media. We talked with them about the perspective of their campaign, how they understand the campaign, and the campaign influence to their knowledge and attitude, and also to their behavior. So to learn from them, we analyzed the quotes from the interviews and analyzed them using thematic quotes. And we found that, for example, like for them to check if they really understand the campaign, they did mention that they can understand the campaign because Instagram feed is actually easy to understand. And the content information given in 14 to check is actually easy to remember. And there was a logo on the campaign, and we thought it's quite actually not really noticeable, but when they hear about the 14 to check and there was a post to explain the campaign, it became like a stuck with them. So to analyze the finding, when we look at the quotes again, and when we designed the campaign, we thought of using these 2 theories. There are actually separated theories. So one is a learning cognitive theory from social learning theory from Bandura, and the other one is, I'm sure everyone in health is aware of this one. It's a theoretical model. So we realized that when the content is attractive and then the platform and the message is credible, people want to get to know the HPV information. And they talked to us that it's easy to remember 14.1. It's like an alarm for me. It's on the report of the previous slide. And actually what we found very interesting is that there's a reproduction of the message by the people who receive the message themselves. So they share the message to the others, for example, to their family. They started to recall, like it was in the previous slide, but they mentioned like, I remember my uncle, he used to have prolonged cough and his father contact them, and also their neighbors. So we found that even though the campaign wanted to focus on building awareness, which usually are always assumed it's in the pre-contemplation and contemplation stage, but it also built preparation. And that's what we wanted to focus. But we found that actually people are doing actions about this when they receive information from the 14 check the say campaign. They provide education to others. So one of them talked to their uncles in the village, and the other one talked to their friend who is like a granddaughter to someone who is having a TB symptom. So next. So the campaign message is effective, but also we realized that I think since it was harder to find male participants, maybe the campaign itself needs to be improved. We need to find better platforms for male, and also that this message is good enough to be spread, but maybe not good enough to make people want to come and visit the health facilities. So we might need to develop tailored messages across the fashion platform. But we found, based on the quantitative report and also this qualitative study, that raising TB awareness can be done more effectively, efficiently, could be measured, and we can optimize advertising strategies such as employed in our campaign. And I think it's not just to spread TB awareness, but also approaching this BCC approaches in innovation adoption. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Very interesting. 14 cek TBC. So I think in qualitative study we call it the approach is deductive method, collecting your data and then you sort of approach it to related fields. So we would like to invite questions from the audience. Oh, yeah, masih berdiri, Mbak. Questions? Do we have questions from the Zoom room, Mas Arkan? Maybe some friends from the Zoom already. No, not yet. So remark from the group. Aku masih pada deg-degan mau presentasi juga. Question. If not, then we would like to. Oh, nice.
Hello everyone, I'm Sudhir from UGM. So my only one question is, how did you address the bias in study? Since you conducted one interview, so how did you address the bias?
The bias. So I do work in Stockton Partnership Indonesia, but I also work with colleagues from University of Indonesia. So actually, this is a result of my assignment from my class. So I collaborated with my friends, and they did the interview for this. So it was me as a program implementer. I helped to analyze the study. So that's how I did it on trying to diminish the bias.
So you invited other independent coder and other researchers, yeah?
Like independent evaluators.
Evaluators. That's what we call triangulation in qualitative method. So another remark from the audience. Questions?
Just curious, what more would you do to really try for the campaign to change action? Because this is, I think, something that you want to go further. That's one. Number two, any thoughts on using FGD instead of independent reviews in this study?
So if we did FGD in the beginning when we did some of the campaign, and we did the FGD in the qualitative report as well. So that's why in the follow-up, because in the FGD, what we did in the baseline and line report, we talk about the materials themselves. Like, is this poster actually in the, when we try to have the prototype and at the end,
When you develop the...
Yeah, in this one, we actually want to understand. So their knowledge increased, how, what it actually was on their mind. So we learned from this, the 14 is validly like the cue for people, it's an alarm, and help them to distinguish from COVID-19 during the pandemic. But also because it's an alarm, it helped them to recall others around them. But this, if you look at the logo, it's Austin, right? With 14.1. So when we talk with the Ministry of Health, we talk with the Ministry of Health, and also I actually have a thank you slide, promotional slide, which I haven't mentioned. But in that action slide, we talk with TB experts. And I have a special shout out to Prof. Actually. She was one of our responders when we designed the campaign. Initially, we had a different set of numbers we wanted. And then she was like, can you switch it? But there were like lots of almost rejection on the message, like 14.1. Because TB, you don't have to wait for 14 days in this endemic situation. You can just go and get checked when you have protocol. But it actually helps people, help the citizens to understand their health situation. It became like a self-screening method when they understand it's 14, and it actually aligns with the Ministries of Health guidelines or which haven't been updated.
Right. Thank you very much and good luck for your future undertaking.
I haven't answered your other question on what I would like to do next, try to do more. So I realized that when we go through the passion pathway, we might need specific messages. And I think that we need to sit down again and talk to the people who are affected by TB on what messages actually motivate them. Because now, for example, the Ministry of Health and actually our organization as well try to develop a TB army, right, to find early loss to follow-up and year TB patients. So what kind of messages actually will be effective for them? And I think we need to invest on these measures better. I think the Ministry of Health, supported by the USAID, now is developing a specific message for PPT, and I hope this will help us to improve PPT like we presented earlier. And I think that it's actually beneficial to invest in this kind of approach.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Good luck with the TB Army. It's not BTS Army only, yeah. We also have TB Army. Okay, so that was the second presenter, and we would like to invite the third one from ID4. The title of the research is The Relationship Between Microvascular and Macrovascular Complication with Diabetic Ulcer Event in Diabetic Mellitus Patients with Lung Tuberculosis. Very interesting.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon, everyone. I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Utarini. I'm a student of internal medicine in the University. Today, I'm very pleased to be standing in front of you people to present my study in surgical public hospital with the title The Relationship Between Microvascular and Macrovascular Complication with Diabetic Ulcer Event in Diabetic Mellitus Patients with Lung Tuberculosis. This is a 5-year retrospective cross-sectional study at Surgical Public Hospital Bicara. First, I would like to explain the background of this study. Diabetes mellitus increase the risk of developing tuberculosis and other TB treatment outcomes. And the presence of TB itself making the control of the diabetic and its complications much harder than before. Diabetic foot ulcer is a devastating complication of diabetic mellitus and is major source of morbidity and mortality. And it is postulated that microvascular and macrovascular complications are strong predictors that indicate the development of diabetic foot ulcer. So this study aims is to assess the relationship between microvascular and macrovascular complications of diabetic mellitus with diabetic ulcer event in type 2 diabetes mellitus patient with lung tuberculosis. So basically, it is more clinical than the other two research before. Next. This is a retrospective post-sectional study of patients who were hospitalized at Surgical Public Hospital in Jakarta between 2018 until 2023 with type 2 diabetes mellitus and tuberculosis. The data registry is collected from electronic medical record. The inclusion criteria is patient adult with diabetes mellitus and tuberculosis, and the population number is 501 patients. From this patient, we collect 109 patients with diabetic foot ulcer. And then we see there is macrovascular and complication and macrovascular complication. Macrovascular complication we collect in this patient are patient with neuropathy, patient with retinopathy, and patient with retinopathy. And then from macrovascular complication, we collect patient with cardio coronary artery disease, and then cerebrovascular disease, and peripheral arterial disease. We also collect many data which we assume will influence the result of our study as anemia, leukocyte count, neutrophil monocyte, and creatinine. And then we do a statistical analysis, first descriptive analysis to express the frequency of the study, and then we continue by percentage square to analyze the significant differences, and then we continue with the segregation analysis to estimate the risk of diabetic ulcer in macrovascular and macrovascular complication. Next. So this is the result, the baseline characteristic. As we see in overall 501 patients, there is 109 patients with diabetic foot ulcer, and from this patient we see there is 34 and 31% with macrovascular complication with a v-value less than 0.001. As we see in the bottom of the table, for the macrovascular complication, there is 24 patients with diabetic foot ulcer, and also 44 patients with diabetic foot ulcer and also macrovascular complication with v-value 0.033. We see next. And then we continue. This is with the segregation. First, we conduct a univariate analysis. For the macrovascular complication, we see that there is a ratio 1.61 with p-value 0. So in this result, as we see that for macrovascular complication, after we do multivariate analysis, not so significant with p-value 0.6. Next, for the macrovascular complication, we see in univariate and multivariate analysis there is significant relationship with the macrovascular complication and diabetic foot ulcer. Next. So the discussion of this patient is we agree with the theory before that patients with macrovascular and macrovascular complication indeed are associated with the impact of diabetic foot ulcer in patients with GM and TB. The weakness of this study is this is a spinal center and also is conduct from ICD-10, so there is also bias from the entry the data. But the strength is the study is large population and do a multivariate analysis. Thank you for the time.
Thank you, Bapak, for your presentation. So she pointed out the value of the strength of the study that she has lots of respondents as well as conducting multivariate study. So this is in the middle of the qualitative study, we have some refreshment of the quantitative one, but that's okay. Remark from the audience. We are inviting questions from the audience in this room. No one? One question? Prof, Presentasi.
Thank you for your presentation, Mbak Dwi Indrianti. In my opinion, we heard a lot about the relationship between diabetic and tuberculosis, and then the microvascular and macrovascular complication in diabetic ulcer. So, because of the time, it's very short and you present a lot of data. Probably you can highlight like what is the most important finding from your study.
Thank you for the question. As we mentioned before, we are from the theory that there is postulated that macrovascular complication and microvascular complication are associated with diabetic foot ulcer. We see the definition of the diabetic foot ulcer is from the peripheral artery disease and ischemic of the foot itself. So basically, the most significant influence is from the microvascular manifestation complication like PAD. But is there any microvascular association with this problem, like neuropathy, like numbness, something like tingling or something like that? Is there any real association with the diabetic foot ulcer instead? So from the univariate analysis, we see indeed there is an association with the microvascular with the diabetic foot ulcer. But if we do the multivariate analysis, the result is not that significant to associated with the diabetic foot ulcer itself.
Interesting summary within 1 to 2 minutes, and let's wrap up everything. So we are inviting one more remark or question. Okay.
Yeah, thank you so much for your good presentation. I would like to ask you, because there are so many data quantitatives and probably I don't understand about it quietly, but it's really good and increase my insight. But in terms of the qualitative methodology approach from your research, what's the possible methods in qualitative study that you will bring in the next study related with your study? Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much. We aware that this cross-sectional study, so we can tell the immediate conclusion that there is always we stand here as we cannot vividly say that with this ratio, this is as much as will be at risk for the event in the outcomes at the future. So we will very gladly if we have the chance to do some cohort or case control study to see that this cross-sectional study is parallel, is similar, will have the similar result with the more future study. And also we will very gladly if we have another chance to do something like in this. We also postulated that in diabetic foot ulcer in patients with lung TB, as we see in this study, will have attempt to have extracutaneous tuberculosis. So if we do the culture of the foot, we can see if the microbacterium is indeed have tuberculosis, microbacterium tuberculosis or not, and what kind of the microbacterium of the diabetic foot ulcer itself. I think that is our next.
Thank you, Mbak Dwi, for your summary as well as identifying your future study based on the study that you have conducted. Please give applause for Mbak Dwi. So, another presentation, we would like to invite the presenter from ID5 with the title of the study cultural obstacles in eliminating tuberculosis. This is the qualitative study in Lebak, Cilacap, Madura, and Goa. Very interesting. The time is yours.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Arya Subakti. I am from PR, from Kenabulu SDPA Consortium. We are a principal recipient for TB elimination in Indonesia. This is a qualitative study in 4 districts about a cultural obstacle in eliminating TBC. This is a part of operational research because we conducted also contact investigation and we facing many challenges in the field. And part of the study is we conducted a qualitative study. Next. The background is TB is the big problem in public health issues in Indonesia because we have rank number 2 in TB burden in the world, and in Indonesia the big problem of the challenge is about cultural, because the big challenge is about cultural is as obstacle in eliminating TB, and cultural is we have many forms of cultural obstacle like folklore, myth, local belief, or anything about the cultural obstacle. And to strengthening the elimination of TB in Indonesia, we must strengthening awareness of and education to every community, every people in Indonesia. Next. Yes, the cultural beliefs such myths, folklore, local belief is can prevent the individual to access the treatment, access the diagnosis, and also barrier to complete the treatment and overcoming. And this is a problem of elimination of TB, and we need education and campaign for people. And consortium Bulu STPI, we have more than 5,000 cadre in 20 provinces in Indonesia. We conducted giving education for household contact and for close contact. Next. Yes, this study is, I think this is, if I compare with another, is a pure qualitative study, because we want to know about cultural belief, attitude, and practice that may affect of TB elimination. The study is conducted in Goa, South Sulawesi, in Lebak, Banten, in Bangkalan, East Java, and in Cilacap, Central Java. How we conduct the research? We conducting the focus group discussion, and then we also in-depth interview with the cadre, community cadre, coordinator cadre, and implementing partner in district level. And we also interview with district health office, we interview with WASOR to understand how the cultural belief as an obstacle in eliminating TB. This research conducted in 1 month okay, this is the result. In Lebak, Banten, we saw that the cultural is about the house, because we know a structure of Baduy house only have 2 doors in front of the house, and only have front and back doors in the house. And then in Bangkalan, East Java, the result is perception or belief of the people about the TB is because of witchcraft. It's called cengkeh in Madura. It's not only in Bangkalan but in Madura, but this research only for in Bangkalan. And we know that there is a local conflict called Carok. It's obstacle for cadre when they conducted the personal contact investigation. In Goa, South Sulawesi, yes, there is a folklore about princess. The princess have a bad cough, and then she exiled to another area, but the princess recover after licking the albino buffalo. So this is the folklore is the folklore. The people in Goa and in majority of in South Sulawesi is the folklore is very interesting for the mind of the people. But in Goa, we know the good practice about how the district health office transform the negative connotation of Sari Bayau into a positive term in implementing program TB who giving nutrition for TB patient. And then in Cilacap, we have a result that TB is cause for spiritual agent and shamanic practice. Next. Yes, based on the study, we have a cultural factor that associated with barriers to access, and then this factor include how the cultural factor is impact from the inadequate knowledge, and also the knowledge also and the barrier of the access is by fear of stigmatization, and then because the lack of knowledge, the people have self-medication and go to the alternative treatment, and such like a spiritual treatment and others. And we need a challenge to addressing the cultural obstacle to strengthening the elimination of TB. Next. Yeah. We need a comprehensive to design the program of TB elimination, and we designing the tailored approach and by understanding the specific cultural barriers and develop approach to address the barriers. And then recognizing the cultural factor, so the TB program manager and implementer can design the intervention to increase healthcare seeking behavior. And the cultural approach to TB management is crucial for successful implementation of TB program, particularly at the local level, because we promote the local solution for the local problems. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mas Aris. Oh, Mas Aris, I know it must be very painful to tell the whole story in 7 minutes, yeah, especially the qualitative one. Very interesting study. Do we have a question from the Zoom? No, not yet. Okay, so we are inviting questions from the audience.
Thank you, Mas Aris, for the research. I think it's very interesting that TB has been with us for so long, too long, that it has become a folklore. And I think it's I want to ask a little bit about the analysis of the qualitative reports. I believe that there must be a lot of beliefs regarding the TB in Goa, but you only in all those regions, but you only showed us 1 or 2 each area. I mean, how do you choose that belief, or how is it the most mentioned by the respondents, or is it something that has given the biggest impact to the participants?
Yeah. Thank you. So the question is only 1 or 2 studies, a case that you pointed out.
This research conducted by in-depth interview. So we interview with cadre, community cadre, and this is the point of the cadre mentioned when the researcher asked about cultural obstacle, and this is we analyze by mapping by identify the answer of every cadre, because not only by individual interview, but we conducted online focus group discussion, online FGD, and then we conducted in-depth interview to proper gathering information in this. I think this is a strategy of how to collecting the data from the field.
Right. So it seems like we have one sobat nge-break there asking a question, so we would like to ask them, Oh, okay. So maybe we can check from the Zoom. I think somebody raised his hand. Do we get the chance or not? Oh, okay. So another remark, question from the audience of this group.
Halo, Mbak.
Okay. We have a question. Okay. Who is this?
Halo.
Halo, Mas Uri.
Ya, Bisa saya, may I ask a question?
Sure.
Okay. Congratulations, and yeah, for BreaK, every 2 weeks always be one of my priority in my agenda. So my question is, can I see your discussion slide?
Yeah, wait a second. Yeah, here it is.
Okay. Yes. It's interesting result. If I can assume, this is your theme or your category, or it's your result for your qualitative analysis. And then one of the result is inadequate or lack of knowledge. And then when you present about that coach, you say lack of knowledge, but I think it's not lack of knowledge. Maybe it's self-medication. So in qualitative research, how do you make sure that lack of knowledge, it's really lack of knowledge? Did you also measure their knowledge on the participant, or how you analyze that quote?
Yeah, so the first question is that, is this the themes of the category, and how do you measure the lack of knowledge?
Yeah. No, this is not a category because we build the context of the result. So we have the component. The result is impact to the result is because the very many factors. About the lack of knowledge, this is the limitedness. This is the limitedness of the study, because the subjectivity of the researcher is very high. But we mitigate to this research is conducted with the researcher from university, from university, and the PR team or the implementer partner not in the field when the research conducted the interview. So about the lack of knowledge, we are not have conclusion or about data, because we have only analyzed from the interview, and the interview, the cadre, coordinator cadre or implementer giving the answer about cultural obstacle is come from the level of education, is low level education, come from the such as from the people with, yes, I think low level of education, and this is correlation with lack of knowledge, inadequate. I think inadequate knowledge, not lack of knowledge.
So the data came from interviews,
yes,
data, either with FGD or aided interview. Yeah. Very interesting. Just one quick question. Can you call this study as an ethnography or just qualitative study in general?
This is just only qualitative study, because we not have more methodology for ethnography, because this is very simple, I think. And the study is only by in-depth interview, observation, and focus group discussion. I think we can the research more detailed to ethnographic research.
Thank you very much, Mas Aris, and good luck for your future education. In just one quick remark.
Yeah, I agree with you. If we want to explore more about cultural practices or cultural values, I think we need to rely more on observations, rather than the messages. And when you said that this is not an ethnography, yes, I agree also. But to learn about these rapid assessment procedures, which is some researchers call it focus ethnography. So you might be interested to read more on that. Maybe it's suitable for your research. Thank you.
Thank you, Prof.
Terima kasih, thank you, Mas Aris, and all the audience and question, and thank you for Mas Uri for.
I'm sorry for I'm nervous in front of Prof.
Maybe I should. So if you would like to get some more information on ethnography, we also have the menu in ethnography during break in November. So make sure that you are there. Aro iklan, Prof. All right, so we proceed to the next presenter with the title of Challenges of Tuberculosis Screening During the COVID-19 Pandemic in Bandung, Indonesia. So another study from West Java, Community Health Workers Perspective.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Utarini and I'm from Research Center for Care and Control of Infectious Disease, Universitas Bicara. I'm really grateful for this opportunity. So today I can present our study entitled Challenges of Tuberculosis Screening During the COVID-19 Pandemic in Bandung, Indonesia, Community Health Workers Perspective. So I will start from introduction. Community health workers, or we call it as kader in Indonesia, are really engaged in tuberculosis control and prevention programs. But the emergence of COVID-19 disrupted services in a wide range of settings. So this study aims to describe the experiences and challenges faced by community health workers during the COVID-19 pandemic. So this study is part of the active case finding study, which is ongoing since April 2021 in 6 community health centers, catchment area in Bandung City. So newly diagnosed TB patients were identified in the community health center and hospitals within the study area, and then the household and neighborhood contacts were screened for TB. And in this process, community health workers were involved. We use in-person qualitative interviews conducted by independent interviewer who is an anthropologist, and the data collection conducted between January and April 2023. For our study operation, we have 8 community health workers involved in TB service delivery in S.Kep study sites, and then we focus on experiences of TB screening during the COVID-19 pandemic and how challenges were addressed. Use thematic content analysis approach. And here is the first result. So for the first result, we have key challenges faced by the community health workers in TB screening during the COVID-19 pandemic. So the first one is concern about contracting COVID-19. As the informant said, challenges are substantially real, particularly in the midst of a pandemic because we are afraid. Those who are approached are also afraid. And then the next challenge is fear of the stigma if they are diagnosed with COVID-19. So the informant said, so they are afraid that they will test positive COVID during an X-ray, afraid of being labeled positive by X-ray. And then the next challenge is limitation on services and community health workers movement due to social restriction. The informant said, patient numbers were restricted by puskesmas during the pandemic, so there were fewer patients. And here is the second result. The second result is about how the community health workers experience to overcome the TB screening challenges. The first one is providing education to the community. So the informant said, I provide education about COVID and TB. I aim to improve their understanding. And then the next one is coordinating with neighborhood leaders to enhance community acceptance. So the informant said, as community health workers, we first approach the local authorities. Once we obtain permission, they accompany us to the community. Naturally, the community accepts because they are already known. And then the next one is implementing personal protective equipment, such as medical mask usage and social distancing. As the informant said, I wear mask and gloves. I have to be careful. When I get home, I immediately change clothes, and everything is washed right away. And here's the last result. So this is about additional findings that the community health workers found while conducting TB screening during the COVID-19 pandemic. The first one is TB patients being detected more promptly due to bidirectional screening. So the informant said, we found TB patients at the same time when we screened for COVID because the symptoms are similar, such as cough, cold, and fever. And the next one is better compliance, adapting healthy lifestyle and behavior by the community during the COVID-19 pandemic. So the information there is a silver lining. The community wear masks, follow health protocols, and frequently wash hands. In the close context of TB patients, also wear masks. And the last one is mobile chest X-ray as a TB screening tool, and rewards provision increase community participation. So the information there is a free X-ray program by BreaK, which is done in public place near our houses. So we don't need to go to Cibadak clinic for an X-ray. So how community health workers experience overcoming challenges during the pandemic is really commendable. If the practice continues after the pandemic, it will improve TB case finding and services in the long run. And in conclusion, community health workers were able to manage the challenges during the pandemic through education, coordination, and personal protective equipment implementation, and also the identified opportunities can serve as strategies to ensure the continuity of the screening. We give our appreciation to all of the individuals and parties that have contributed to our study, including all of the community health centers, as also hospitals, and as well as the District Health Office. And this ACF2 study funded by the Asia Joint Research Program administered through the Health Research Council of Niger and also from Indonesian Research and Technology Grant. Thank you for listening.
Okay, so now we would like to.
Quick question. But can you tell us what's the characteristics of a community health workers and how did you choose them?
Okay, so first of all, because this is like the sub-study of our main study. So we have main study, ACF2, and we already have 12 trained community health workers. So we have 6 community health centers, and then for every community health center, we have 2 trained community health workers. Yeah. So in total, actually, we have 12 community health workers, but we ask them for their consent if they are willing to be our participant or not. And then, so we have field team, nurse field.
4 are not willing. So 4 out of 12 are not willing.
No, actually, all of them are willing to be our informant. So we have 12 data actually, but after so this is actually the preliminary study. From our preliminary study, after we use summary of our field notes and then we analysis, we got that 8 community health workers is the data from them is already separated. So we only conclude 8 of them in this abstract. But we actually have 12 total information. We have 12 community health workers,
And 8 of them were involved in interviews.
Okay. 12.
12 of them.
Oh, 12. Out of?
12.
Oh, okay. Right. Okay, so question from the audience. So for your information, we have 40 participants as well on online session. So thank you for joining us. Yeah.
I have a question. So can we go to your slide on challenges? I'm just concerned as an implementer. Like, can you go back? Back. So among these 3 challenges, based on your analysis or maybe your observation as well, because you're part of this bigger study, which of these 3 challenges is the biggest one? And which one is the one that we can solve first and that we need to address? Because myself and my artists are supporting the consortium, right? So I think this is very useful for us.
Thank you for your question. So actually in total we have like a lot of challenges that we found, but 3 of this is the top one. And the first one is the concern about contracting COVID-19. So, most of the community health workers say that they are concerned about contracting COVID-19. This is like the top one, the concern about contracting COVID-19. And which one can be solved? I think all of them can be solved. But for concern about contracting COVID-19 and also fear of the stigma, the community health workers, they say that they can address it by give education. So the first thing is education. I think from all of the challenges that we found, almost all of them can be solved by give education. This is from the community health workers' point of view.
Right, so this is very interesting how we sort of prioritize based on qualitative data. Maybe later on we will discuss in how to prioritize. Is that based on the number of or frequent data that is coming up or something else? That's very interesting. Another remark, questions from the audience? If not, then thank you so much, Mbak Regita, for presenting your study and success for your future and the board. Last but not least, we are inviting our last presenter. Everybody clap their hand because so happy as well, yeah?
Snack time.
Snack time after this, okay. One more presentation with the title Barriers Related to Implementing Telemedicine as an Alternative Preventive Solution for Tuberculosis Services Among Private Providers During the COVID-19 Pandemic, again in Bandung, Indonesia. The time is here.
Alright, thank you so much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Salam sejahtera untuk kita semua. Om Swastiastu, Namo Buddhaya, Salam Kebajikan. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Aulia Ramanda Fikri. I'm a junior researcher from Research Center for Care and Control of Infectious Disease, Universitas Pajajaran. I would like to discuss and shed on light our study entitled Barriers Related to Implementing Telemedicine as an Alternative Preventive Solution for Tuberculosis Services Among Private Providers During the COVID-19 Pandemic in Bandung, Indonesia. It's pretty long title, sorry. Okay, yes. Okay, so we start from the introduction. As we know that the COVID-19 pandemic transformed health services in which many healthcare facilities changed their regulation. Unfortunately, COVID-19 reduced access to TB prevention efforts in healthcare facilities and impacted such as the screening and treatment of tuberculosis. Interestingly, as we know that COVID-19 pandemic emerged so many innovations, includes telemedicine, that one of the alternative solutions to alleviating TB services while reducing infection risk during the challenging time. So our study aim is to explore the key barriers that hinder the effective implementation of telemedicine as an alternative solution for TB services during COVID-19 pandemic among private practitioners in Bandung. Next. So our study is part of COVID study and part of standardized patient, and it turns to be a pure qualitative study with phenomenological approach. Our qualitative study is conducted in Bandung, Indonesia, commenced from December 2021 to July 2022, and we involved 11 private doctors, consist of 6 general practitioners and 5 specialists recruited from private clinics or private hospitals. And we did in-depth interview using open questionnaire adapted by WHO building blocks and using thematic content analysis for data analysis. Next. So this is the results. Out of 11 interviewed private providers, 6 of the providers prefer direct in-person service due to their personal preference, concern about patients' access to telemedicine, and the lack of accuracy of TB diagnostic. But the rest of the providers, 5 of that, utilize video calls or virtually consultation using online applications such as WhatsApp, Zoom, or other online platforms to offer TB symptom consultation. So we found three main categories of barriers to implementing telemedicine. One is the lack of effectiveness for TB diagnostics. It was related with longer time consultation, indirect examination, and doubt to TB tests such as physical examination, TB sputum test, and chest X-ray. And the second barrier is concern about the legal protection. It was related with malpractice insurance, privacy and security due to giving medication via online. And the third one is difficulties in using telemedicine tools. It was related with the hardship in operating tools and systems due to the digital divide, technical and literacy issues. So this is the representative codes from the three main categories. We can see on the one of barrier that the lack of effectiveness for TB diagnostic, it came from female general practitioner, 51 years old. She said, I usually have in-person consultations in my practice for a minimum of 15 to 20 minutes. However, for video calls to TB patients, since I needed to observe the patient and ask questions, it typically takes more time, possibly up to half an hour. The second, about concern about the legal protection, it came from female internist, 54 years old. She said, I'm most concerned about making an incorrect prescription or dispensing the wrong medication, because it's possible that not all aspects of the TB patient's medical history are fully explored without an in-person consultation. And the last one is about difficulties in using telemedicine. It came from female internist, 67 years old. She said, if the person doesn't have a mobile phone, or if their phone credit is not enough, or if the network coverage is poor in their area, or even in my area, it can create obstacles when using telemedicine. Next. So, telemedicine can be a crucial tool in the prevention and management of tuberculosis. However, it should be seen as the complementary approach alongside traditional direct person healthcare service to address the unique challenge posed by TB effectively, especially for the TB in the diagnostic period that patients requires the TB sputum test and chest X-ray. And both providers and patients showed uncomfortable with telemedicine during the diagnostic period, although its suitability for TB medication control was acknowledged. And policymakers, healthcare providers, and public health agencies should work together to implement telemedicine immediately. Next. To sum up, the lack of effectiveness for TB diagnostic, legal protection, and the tools inconvenience are major barriers to implementing telemedicine for TB service during pandemic. The telemedicine legal framework and firm guidelines should be considered to alleviate the implementation of telemedicine for TB services. We thank for the other parties that contribute in this study, private clinics or private hospitals in Bandung Municipal Health Office, and Research Center for Care and Control of Infectious Disease, Universitas of Bicara. And this study is cooperated with TB McGill University Center and funded by Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. Thank you. I will come to any inputs and insights.
Thank you very much. Aulia or Fikri?
Fikri.
Okay. Very interesting study. COVID-19 actually stimulating telemedicine, but I guess it's very beneficial for TB and all the diagnostic as well as preventive program. We would like to invite remark, questions from the audience. No one? Please. Well, quick question from me. So
Sure.
You call yourself doing the phenomenologic studies.
Yes.
But your data analysis process, you use thematic analysis. Can you elaborate more on the congruency between the methodology and data analysis process?
Yeah, thank you so much. For our study is first is part of the standardized patients, that quantitative study, and then it turns to qualitative study. But we adopted a framework approach, phenomenological, because it conducted during COVID-19. So we want to explore the phenomena of COVID-19 that can be a barrier to utilize telemedicine. But we use content thematic analysis because this study is still a preliminary analysis. So we do as well for that analysis, but thank you so much for your insight. I think we can more study about it and put the phenomenology analysis for our methodology. Thank you.
Thank you very much, because as far as we know that when we're conducting phenomenology, that it should be connected with our data analysis process. For example, we use Colizzi or Kahneman or interpretative phenomenological analysis, something like that. But it could be a challenge for another project. So last but not least, the opportunity for asking question, remark. If not, then give applause to Fikri. Congratulations for your study as well as for your group. Now we are and langsung kita of course, why not?
I just have a question. These 11 private providers, so not all of them are using telemedicine.
Yes.
So I think in addition to the analysis, phenomenology should engage, well it said, exploring lived experience, right? So those who you interview, I think ideally, if we claim this to be phenomenology, that they should have implemented telemedicine. Because then they have the lived experience of using the telemedicine, and while applying the telemedicine, then I'm sure they also have their reflection thoughts in using, and they can share the values. So I think this is something that I hope we can add the strength in your study, that we could focus more on those living with those providers using telemedicine. So all the subjects should have been done.
Thank you so much for your opinion. Actually, I want to add my opinion. So our study is conducted to the providers who are using telemedicine just for TB patients. But actually, 11 of providers is using telemedicine, but not over TB consultation.
So they have the experience, but not specifically for TB patients.
Yeah, but 5 of it over TB consultation.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so Fikri, thank you very much. Now, last but not least, we are inviting Prof. Adi Utarini to provide, the summary or wrapping up, or just the feedback. This is really improvisation. Part of that is improvisation. Although I think this is the unfair part.
Of Sinta, because I think number one, I think listening to all the presentation, I really enjoyed. It has been very good presentations all, and I think the studies that we know that a lot of researchers are also very excited in doing qualitative studies. And we used to say that qualitative is sort of apa ya bahasa Indonesianya? Kalau lantai itu KW 1, KW 2, KW 3. It's like a second class citizen. It's not the top of the study RCT or whatever. But then all different types of study design, they have their own purposes. They have their own purposes. Which, if we use this study design for the specific purpose that we have, I think we will listen to beautiful stories, and we learn a lot also for this. My second point is that when we read the literature, very, very often we see authors saying that, just simply saying that this is a qualitative study, without saying even more specific on the design. So that is fine, because they are just saying that they follow the general rules of the qualitative study design. But I think we also have plenty opportunities. If we think this is appropriate, I really encourage you to go further and use the more specific study design. such as very interesting. You use the phenomenology or the cultural. Mas Aris using that's potential for using focus ethnography, or people call it some call it rapid assessment procedures, and just be brave and try special study design. I think you will explore. Sorry, you will explore more for your objective.
Okay, right. Okay, Prof. I guess we underline the highlight of our discussion for 2 hours is that there is the opportunity for us in using qualitative study method for TB studies and programs, but also we would like to enhance the quality of implementation of qualitative study. One more remark, Prof.
Yeah, the other one is that often we said in qualitative study that you interview 10 or 12 or 15 or whatever the number that you interview, and then you present the results. Now, I know that this 7 minutes is too short, but I'm sure maybe one day you are thinking of writing up in a manuscript, right? Publishing, then it's always interesting to see the variations. So not just the common patterns, but for example, I'm trying to ask these 8 community health workers here whether they varies in terms of age or length of being the community health workers, and to what extent that gives some variations also in the results that you presented. So that's my third comment, and my last one is that perhaps you've heard about this website called the Equator website with the reporting guidelines, structured reporting guidelines. And I think it's useful to remind all of us that once you are at the stage of drafting your manuscript, there you can follow for qualitative. There are 2 reporting guidelines. One is the SRQR. The other one is correct. It's correct. So it's easier for you to write down what we should write down in the paper.
Yeah. And last but not least, or maybe we are expecting to meet you again in a time next year with more qualitative abstracts, yeah, Prof.
And also in the break,
of course,
session,
don't forget to also join break every Friday, every second week, and also keep
1 hour.
Just 1 hour and
2 o'clock.
2 o'clock, and also break in class kanal that is uploaded once a week in kanal pengetahuan FK UGM. We have lots of campaign, yeah, Prof. So last but not least, we thank you for all the presenters, the 6 presenters, as well as all the audiences with the spirits, as well as attentions, as well as questions. Enjoy the conference and hope to see you again in another
all the
conference.
best for your futures. We saw great researchers, young researchers in this room.
Terima kasih teman-teman yang sudah juga join online, sobat ngebreak sekalian. Kami kembalikan ke Mbak Galuh. Silakan bagi teman-teman kalau mau meninggalkan ruangan juga tidak apa-apa, sudah selesai. Monggo Mbak Galuh kalau mau ditutup dan juga kuis di breaknya, silakan Mbak Galuh.
Baik, terima kasih Prof. Uut, juga Bu Sinta sudah dan juga thank you for all the presenter in that times conference. Dan terima kasih semuanya, menarik sekali dan menginspirasi kami para sobat BreaK untuk bisa menyuguhkan penelitian-penelitian yang terbaik dan juga bermanfaat untuk sekitar kita. Dan Bapak Ibu, ladies and gentlemen, in the BreaK's webinar we also have a quiz session in the last session. So kuisnya bisa Anda akses di link di bawah ini, Bapak Ibu semuanya yang berada di Time atau berada online. Kuis bisa Anda akses melalui ugm.id/quizbreak. Dan pastikan Anda menjawab dengan jawaban yang benar. Terima kasih banyak Bapak Ibu semuanya hadir di kesempatan hari ini. Dan Bapak Ibu yang join melalui Time, Anda bisa menyaksikan episode dari BreaK melalui kanal YouTube dari HPM FK UGM untuk bisa menyaksikan banyak sekali dari episode dari BreaK untuk kita bersama-sama mempelajari, mendalami tentang penelitian kualitatif. Terima kasih banyak Bapak Ibu semuanya yang sudah hadir kesempatan siang hari ini. Terima kasih kepada seluruh presenter, seluruh kru dari Inatime. Terima kasih sudah berkolaborasi dengan BreaK. Kita jumpa lagi di BreaK edisi selanjutnya. Saya Galuh bersama dengan tim pamit undur diri. Mohon maaf bila ada kesalahan pada saat acara berlangsung. Terima kasih banyak. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. And see you.
Terlalu indah dilupakan, terlalu sedih dikenangkan. Setelah aku jauh berjalan dan ku tinggalkan. Betapa hatiku bersedih mengenang kasih dan sayangmu, setulus pesanmu kepadaku, engkau kan menunggu. Andaikan kau datang kembali, jawaban apa yang kan ku beri? Adakah jalan yang kau temui untuk kita kembali lagi? Betapa hatiku bersedih